Welcome back to another episode of Consciously Clueless. I'm your host, Carly, and I'll be your guide on this journey from consciousness to cluelessness and back around again. All month, we have been talking to amazing people about their vegan activism journey. We've talked about how to be a vegan activist. Lots of talk about veganism happening lately on the podcast, which of course I love. But it struck me, I haven't yet done an episode just about some top tips on how to go vegan. So this episode is my 5 top tips to go vegan that actually have nothing to do with vegan nutrition. Here we go. This podcast is supported by Will's Vegan Store. Will's Vegan Store has been a vegan company at the front of vegan clothing and sustainable fashion since they launched in 2013 by their founder, Will Green. They produce the most beautiful, vegan, sustainably made shoes, clothing, and accessories. I have been obsessed with this brand for years now. They were one of the first vegan brands that I really made the switch to. It can be hard to thrift shoes, but I love knowing that if I'm going to purchase a pair of shoes from Will's Vegan Store, they are going to be ethically made, their workers are protected, they don't use plastic packaging, they're delivered in an environmentally friendly way. It's truly the most amazing company to support. So if you're ready to try them yourself, hit the link in the show notes so they know that I sent you. This podcast is sponsored by TerraSeed. TerraSeed is on a mission to disrupt the vitamin industry, empower vegans, and reduce plastic waste in the world. They put everything plant-based people struggle to get in an all-inclusive, vegan, compostable package multivitamin that replenishes them and our planet every single day. Seriously, y'all, win, win, win. Even if you're not vegan, this vitamin will help you get those key nutrients that you need. I am so excited to share a discount code for your first purchase. Use code CARLY50 at checkout to get 50% off. Again, that's CARLY50 for 50% off your first purchase at terraseed.com. Don't forget this code so they know I sent you. Okay, so let's get into it. These are 5 tips to help you in going vegan, and I would say staying vegan. But they really don't have a lot to do with nutrition. Of course, some of them are food related, but so many of the tips you hear about are making sure you get your protein or making sure you're getting your B12, and those are great, and I love talking about that too, but there's a lot to think about that can be helpful if you're going to not only try a plant-based diet, but lead a more vegan lifestyle. That can be really helpful in starting that journey. So, number 1, I need to emphasize this, bold, underline, whether it's for this or starting a sustainability journey, or really whatever it is in terms of making a change in your life, start where you are. There is no perfect moment. There is no invitation. There is no knock on your door that says, now is the right time. You have perfectly prepared. I wish, but it just doesn't work like that. Because inherently, you'll make it. You are ready. Now is the right time to start, as long as you have some of these other tools. Just really being willing to start wherever you are and not thinking you need some magical place to have arrived. What you need to start is making the decision, and only you can decide that. My second tip would definitely be realistic about what is possible. So I've talked about this so much on the podcast, but if you haven't heard or if you need a refresher, a few of these things that I have tried to adopt in my life or make a change, I have jumped into thinking I was going to be 100%. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and it has kind of blown up in my face a couple times in terms of the stress and the anxiety I've caused myself and the unrealistic expectations I've also put onto other people. So we need to be realistic about what's possible. Is it possible for you to go vegan overnight? Okay, yeah, maybe that is, depending on your privilege, your location, all these other factors. But is it sustainable? If you go vegan overnight right now, would it be something that feels like you could keep it up? Or would you get overwhelmed because it was too much too fast and then just give up altogether? Unfortunately, a lot of people end up in that latter category because they weren't realistic about what they were going to be able to do when they set out to do it. This happens all the time, especially in health and wellness goals. Like the new year comes and everyone's like, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to completely change my life from top to bottom and it's going to happen in a week. But the reality is, it's probably not. It's not how we operate. And we have so many other factors that are influencing what happens in our life, and some of which we're not in control of. So be realistic about what's possible. And within that realism, know that you're going to mess up. You're going to mess up, whatever that means to you. There's going to be a moment where you feel like you didn't do something in the way you wanted to in becoming vegan or being vegan. And that's okay. That is 110% okay. It's inevitable. And in fact, it means that you just get to grow. It just means that you get to pause and refocus and reframe. So be realistic about what you can do and don't feel bad about that. Next, a really important one is plan ahead. Now, for some of you, this might be a nightmare. Many people don't like to plan ahead. This is something I do sometimes to a fault that is partly due to some anxiety, right? But planning ahead in the context of being vegan and staying vegan is a game changer because you are making a choice in your life if you are trying to, in some way, shape, or form, adopt a vegan lifestyle. And that's amazing. We should have started there, right? You're amazing for even considering this and listening to this episode. But if you're going to do that, you kind of need a plan. Because one of the biggest things that happens when people go vegan without a plan is they start showing up to all the things they would show up to in life normally without thinking about being worried about food, let's say. A restaurant, a work dinner, a happy hour, a wedding, whatever it is, and they don't have a plan for food. Now, this might seem like an inconvenience and a reason not to do it. I don't want to frame it that way. One, it becomes second nature when this is something that you have committed to in your life. And two, it's just how our society, at least in the US, where I am from, and a lot of Western standard diets, you have to plan ahead because you're not living in a vegan world. Heck, you're not even living in a society that really teaches about nutrition or healthy meals. So planning ahead is a game changer. If you're going to a restaurant, see what they can make. See what they have so you don't show up and end up eating French fries and a side salad. It is the plight of vegans everywhere eventually, but just plan ahead. Are you going to a summer cookout with family? Make a big vegan dish that you normally would make, but just make it vegan. Don't tell anyone, and then you have food there, and maybe you'll even impress someone and they'll ask about your meal. So make sure to plan ahead when it comes to food. This doesn't necessarily mean that you always have to have a 6-course meal in a bag with you at all times, although that sounds pretty convenient. But I, as someone who can sometimes get hangry just anyway, but knowing that sometimes I might be kind of out of luck with vegan options in a pinch, I always have some sort of bar or some sort of snack with me while traveling, but even in my purse, because at least you know you'll get some substance. Number 4 is really important and really crucial for staying vegan, for going vegan, and also for your mental health. Find community. Find community that understands what you're talking about. And this is not a diss at anybody in your life who is not vegan or maybe doesn't understand or maybe doesn't care about this issue. But if you are going to sustain this choice you are making, you need to find other people who believe in it. It could be a Facebook group. It could be my Patreon. It could be a small meetup in town. Maybe if you live in a big city, there's more and more kind of like vegan clubs or whatever it is. It can be online, in person, whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe even just one friend that you know in your life. Have a community so you can ask questions and you can make jokes, and also you can talk to about this world and all the things you're learning and all the things you care about, it makes you feel not alone, especially when you're in this to really make a difference. It feels less isolating when you know other people have made this choice too. Finally, a non-nutrition food related, but still number 5 in the non-nutrition related tips: do your research before going grocery shopping. This is kind of like plan ahead with eating out or going to potlucks or functions or whatever it is, but specifically when you are going to buy your own food in the beginning of this journey, do research at the stores in your area, figure out exactly what you're going to get, make a list. I mean, really do your research, because the last thing you want to do is go to, maybe it's a store you don't even go to regularly, a section of the store you weren't familiar with, and then you stand there and you're overwhelmed because there's 14 different types of tofu and 75 different types of ice creams, which that sounds like my dream, but there are a lot of choices. It's a good problem to have, but it can be overwhelming, and sometimes you can be standing in the aisles thinking, is this vegan? Is this not? Doing research on your phone. If you can kind of go in with a game plan, it's going to make it less stressful. I know some people who already hate grocery shopping. Don't make it worse and make it being vegan's fault for grocery shopping being hard. It's just something you should do some research on so you feel fully prepared. Those are just 5 of many tips on how to go vegan and stay vegan, but I hope those first 5 were helpful, and I will continue to share more. Thanks for listening to another episode of Consciously Clueless. If you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, put it on social media. Don't forget to tag me. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Good Pods, leave a review. Reviews and shares help more people to see the podcast and join in on the fun. If you want to make sure to stay up to date on future episodes, follow me at Consciously Carly on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Pinterest, and head to consciouslycarly.com to sign up for the newsletter. Ready for more conscious living content? Check out patreon.com/consciouslycarly and join the exclusive community over there. And finally, if you're ready to take better care of yourself and the world, let's work together. Click the link in the show notes to head to the website, find out more, and schedule a free discovery call with me. Chat soon!